Hi guys, welcome back to the Kit and Krysta show. We are very excited today to be talking about some of the top 10 Nintendo press conference E3 moments.
That's right.
It's kind of a mouthful.
A few weeks ago, we did the top 10 Nintendo Direct moments.
Yes.
And some people were saying like, oh, well, I had this favorite moment that happened to be from a press conference.
That's right.
And
so
these
we were like, oh.
Yeah, we got to do another list.
Yeah, dedicated.
Just for these.
Yeah, I mean, there's no more E3 and there's no more press conferences. This is like an archival.
It is nostalgic to look back.
It's very nostalgic to look back. And it's nice to just think about these things that actually happened IRL back in the day.
And, big disclaimer we should say, it's the top 10, but it's not the top 10 like good.
Bad or good.
Or bad. It's both.
Yeah, you said good and I said bad.
Our number 10 moment, the first one we're going to be talking about. Kind of bad.
Kind of bad.
Are you ready?
I am ready.
All right. Number 10. I'm going to do the voice for all of these.
Dun, 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 dun.
This was at E3 2010.
Oh.
Mr. Miyamoto with Bill Trinen on stage to do a first demo of The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword.
Wii remote in hand.
Oh, but the controller doesn't work.
Yeah, that was a hard lesson for production in the theater where there's a lot of interference.
Well,
kind of
at one point, Mr. Miyamoto even says, is someone out there using wireless?
So looks like we're having a little interference here. Somebody out there using wireless.
Which in 2022 is kind of a funny thing for somebody to say.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I will give Mr. Miyamoto a ton of credit for mostly just powering through this with a smile on his face and not getting too distracted, but the game did not look as good as it could. Yeah. Part of me wonders, was this one reason to make the push to Nintendo Direct?
Yeah, all right, moving on to
number
a weird
9.
One. Number 9.
I don't
think good or bad.
It's neither good nor bad. It's strange. This
Very
was
strange.
Again E3 2009. Mr. Iwata introduces the Wii Vitality sensor with his little finger right in that sensor.
With the heartbeat.
So this was introduced kind of right after he was talking about Brain Age and Wii Fit, and he was kind of talking about this is the next way that you're going to think differently
about Nintendo,
about games.
Yeah.
So knowing the stepping stones from that, you can kind of understand
see where his mind was going,
where they were going with this, but you never saw anything more than this one photo of him with the finger in the thing, and it was never heard from again.
It was never heard. That was the weird part, is that like you could kind of see the promise of like, oh, having this sort of more lifestyle, health-based kind of thing that you could do with video games. Yeah, it was a weird like blip where he talked about it, and then it was
never
like a
heard
thing
from again
during this press conference, and then
maybe the Switch Vitality sensor will show up someday. Behind the scenes, you kind of hear like, well, it works 90% of the time, but 10% of the time it really doesn't work.
It really doesn't work. Okay, number 8.
Number 8. We're taking a little detour.
Oh.
This is actually not at a Nintendo press conference. This is the Ubisoft press conference, E3 2017, where Mr. Miyamoto makes a guest appearance to introduce Mario + Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
And this does not happen very often.
No.
Rarely, if ever, again, do any of the Nintendo, like, big Nintendo developers do something outside of the Nintendo press conferences. Already a kind of an interesting thing that he was asked to do and he agreed to do, so.
Mr. Miyamoto, he makes a surprise entrance.
Yeah.
He gets a standing ovation from the crowd. He's got these like oversized weapons from the game that he's really like hamming it up with.
Yeah, he's just having a great time. Like, very, very like just sort of loose on stage.
And then he's having a conversation with the Ubisoft CEO, and he is just like extolling the virtues of Ubisoft. He's like, oh, we hope that one day Nintendo can make games as good as Ubisoft. Come on. And he is like laying it on thick. He is selling this.
Yeah.
But then there's this great moment that happens right after that.
Yeah, exactly. Someone in the crowd.
Yes, so the game director gets mentioned, Davide Soliani.
Yes.
And they just mentioned, oh, he's been working so hard and with such great passion, Mr. Miyamoto mentions. And the camera pans to him, and he is in tears. Oh my goodness.
It was like the most wholesome, beautiful thing you'd ever see, because usually at these kind of press conferences, people are a little salty.
But it's also so staged and so rehearsed that it was really nice to just get a genuine human moment here.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, number 7. All the way back to E3 2004.
We were not there for this one.
This was actually my first E3 and Reggie's first E3.
Wow, you have so much in common.
Wow.
With Reggie.
That's where it stops, yeah. Some might argue this should be higher. Reggie's introduction to the world, saying some words that we cannot repeat on this family-oriented show.
Yeah,
you're gonna bleep it out, right? Right?
I'm not.
I'm gonna repeat it, and you're gonna bleep it out.
No,
right?
Don't repeat it.
You're gonna bleep it out.
Kicking.
Rhymes
with class.
I'm about kicking and taking names, and we're about making games.
My name is Reggie. I'm about kicking ass. I'm about taking names, and we're about making games.
Yeah.
Now, on its own, it's just a line. Why is this so important?
He's always been like Big Boss Reggie, and he like puts it all out there on the stage in his first moment.
Yeah.
So good for him.
I mean, this was the GameCube era. Things were a little shaky, but this was really a statement saying, you know what, we're not giving up. We got some great stuff coming. We're going to be aggressive. Get ready for this.
Yeah.
And then it rolls right into this awesome Metroid Prime 2 trailer.
Exactly.
Which gets you right in the mood. So very impactful introduction.
Yeah,
yes.
And he delivers it like perfectly.
Yeah.
So.
And that's, you know, a lot of people say, oh, 2004, that's one of the best press conferences. Maybe there's something else from 2004 later on the list. We can only find out.
Only wait to see.
We have to keep going.
Yes. Number
6.
Oh.
Sadly, we were both there for this. E3 2012, the big closer. As we've just introduced the Wii U and all the great software that you'll be playing on it soon. One last look at Nintendo Land, a little pew fireworks,
little blip
going
fireworks.
off in the distance.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And that's
show's over.
Show's over. Yeah. What a downer way to end that.
Didn't have one more thing at all.
We didn't have one more thing. I remember the rehearsals the day before for this as well, and it was anxiety central. At Nintendo.
I walked into one of those rehearsals and I walked
right
around because people were freaking out.
It
was like, well, we're not happy with the closer we've got. We need to come up with something new. What are we gonna do? We'll pinpoint this in the video, but Reggie introduces the fireworks and there's a look on his face as he says, that's just kind of like, maybe this wasn't my idea. Just the messenger. Yeah. It's hilarious if you just freeze frame it right there. It's so funny.
He really can't like control his expression in that moment because you go in knowing it's going to be bad. And yeah, exactly. As the rehearsal had gone on and the discussions had gone on that day, you just sort of like, I think the entire place was just like, well, we're just going to have to come to terms with it being bad.
So a poor beginning to the dark Wii U generation.
So dark. some beams of light here and there.
Maybe you saw it coming after this.
A little dark, yeah.
Yes.
All right, moving on to something better.
Brighter days were ahead.
Number 5.
Number 5. The Zelda 25th orchestra performance to kick off the show. You know, this has become kind of commonplace now, having like a live symphony at your live event, but this was really new back then.
It totally was. It was like never done before, especially at a video game event. Right? Like something to have a full, you know, orchestra there performing video game music in this really dramatic way, really classy way. Wasn't it something that was not really done before? And what an opener. And then that also kicked off the big 25th anniversary, all the cool announcements that came with that. And then of course the symphony went on tour that year. What a difference between this anniversary and the 30th anniversary where we did absolutely nothing at all. So there's that.
And you can feel the energy in the crowd, like during those performances.
I shed a tear
they're pumped.
During that performance.
A lot of times you can feel the crowd of like whether they're into it or not. They were way into this, which is great.
Emotions were high. The music is so powerful.
Yeah.
And and then they coupled it, of course, with the gameplay and all that stuff.
And there was a great moment after the performance where Mr. Miyamoto comes up and talks, and he welcomes up Mr. Aonuma, Mr. Tezuka, and Mr. Koizumi. Of like these are some of the great developers that I've worked with over the years.
It's like wow, standing on that stage, basically. Yeah. The entire, history of amazing Nintendo games just standing right there with those 4 people.
What a great moment.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Number 4.
Number 4. We're getting close.
We're getting there. This is a good one.
E3 2006. So before either of our time at Nintendo.
A year before I started at Nintendo.
But very memorable. there was an extended demo of Wii Sports. And this is interesting for a couple reasons. So it was Mr. Iwata, Mr. Miyamoto, and Reggie playing. But very unlike Nintendo, they pulled somebody out of the crowd who won a contest to play this game for the very first time. Wow!
That's a cool thing to win.
Yeah.
That's like those Nintendo Power contests back in the day. Like go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
This would be a prize fitting of that.
Right.
You know? But yeah, they literally pulled this person out of the crowd and they got to go on stage and do this demo for the first time.
It's really a perfect demonstration of this game that anybody can play to be like, we're going to pull this guy out of, and he's never touched this thing, and he's going to do just fine.
It's kind of like magicians, where they like pull the guy out of the crowd.
Sawed in half?
And then you get sawed in half. You like pick a card, like you know it works because it's just some random, you know?
Right.
So yeah, that was like a magic demonstration basically for Wii Sports. And then of course then you get the senior citizens bowling because everybody can play that game.
The other thing that was great about this is you could see those people really getting into this match.
Yeah.
And like the competitive juices kind of set in a couple moments.
Right.
Where it's like,
oh, we actually
is Reggie gonna like shoulder charge like Mr. Miyamoto or something?
Reggie
like get the edge?
Is notoriously competitive when it comes to sports as well.
Yeah.
So like I can see him like getting the red rage, you know, and just be like pow.
Yeah. So again, like these events were so scripted and so sanitized and rehearsed. Like this was just nice to see something genuine.
Real and genuine. Yeah. Yes. Exactly. All right. Number 3.
Introduction of Nintendo 3DS, and there was just so many developers and so many games, some of which we never saw in real life.
I never saw those tech demos.
But they were really selling the promise of what this system was.
Yeah. This is what happens when there is something like truly new, like that comes into the industry. Like it's like, there's never been something like this with the 3D screen. Like even if it doesn't work, you know, like the way that you expect it to, like it's still interesting. Kind
of near the end of the event, they roll this great video to kind of sum up everything that they've shown.
Yeah,
and it's Mr. Iwata and Mr. Miyamoto and Reggie kind of holding the system and all these like games and worlds and Nintendo.
And they get like sucked into it.
Coming out or getting sucked in. And, you know, we worked there. It was so hard to convey the 3D.
Yeah.
And this
was like a big challenge.
This was a very expensive looking video.
It was an expensive costing video.
But it absolutely accomplished that.
Exactly. It shows exactly what that message is of it being like very immersive, like, you know, all that stuff. And the video was incredibly like just cute and well done as well.
Very charming.
And I think it kind of sets the stage for Nintendo Direct videos that came afterwards where Reggie and Mr. Iwata, Mr. Miyamoto did do other types of things that were more like skits or something funny. That was sort of like the beginning of that. So that was really fun to see that in like a press conference.
So then the video ends, Reggie comes back out and says, guess what? You can all play Nintendo 3DS right now and experience this for yourself. And
all these people.
Women. All women.
All of these women.
Interesting look for 2010.
Lot of blonde women.
Yes. About 100 women come out and go into the aisles. We called them Human Interactives, which is an embarrassing name.
I didn't come up with it.
We didn't come up with it, but that was the name.
Yeah.
And it was like, you can play the game right there. At the peak of your excitement, probably.
Yeah.
Great idea.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, it was easy because it was very portable. So you just had this woman that would come up to you, and it was like connected to her like with this like tether.
Yeah.
And you could just pick up the system and play. A little awkward, but you know, it gets the point.
But a great way to wrap up a show that was very exciting.
Exactly.
Of like, wow, now I can really play this right now.
And what a cool like visual of it.
It was a neat visual.
And they were like holding up the systems, and it looked kind of like one of those. Like, I don't know, like a pageant or something like that.
Yeah,
so I had that kind of feel to it.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, no.
We're down to the final 2.
Yeah, one's good.
One's good. One's very good, and one's very bad.
And one's very bad. We'll go to the bad one
Number
first.
2, the infamous Wii Music segment at E3 2008.
Oh.
This was a 12-minute segment that felt like 12 hours.
It was the most cringe. You think you think cringe was 10 when Mr. Miyamoto's remote didn't work? Let me tell you what cringe is.
So
it is this moment.
This started with the infamous Ravi drums drum solo.
Yep.
Which went into a saxophone solo by Mr. Miyamoto, and a very lengthy explanation of this game. And then, perhaps the cherry on top,
was a 4-piece band. Performing
the Super Mario Brothers theme.
All right, bring the house down, guys.
Yes.
Kind of very awkwardly like jamming out
with some weird
on
dancing.
these Wii remotes. Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
oof.
Man.
You were at this one. I wasn't. I'm going to let you just riff on this.
I mean, there was so many like red flags. You know how we have that TikTok memes like, this is a red flag. I'm gonna put that emoji here. Like there was so many red flags that like led up to this moment. So first of all, that guy Robbie Drums is actually insane. So and like was a terror to work with. Like he was like a diva basically and was awful. And then it was such a huge joke that we kept getting like random phone calls. It was like before social media. We kept getting like random phone calls at the office about people either telling us they hated Robbie Drums or as a joke that they loved Robbie Drums. So for like years, I saved this voicemail that was like some guy that was basically like, I love Robbie Drums.
Prank calls?
Prank calls.
Wow.
Prank calls, yeah, basically. Like, I want Robbie Drums to play at my wedding. Like, give me Robbie Drums' contact information. Like, oh my gosh. It was like beyond a meme at this point. It was ridiculous.
Well, I mean, ever since then, it's been a joke.
It's been a joke.
Including right now.
Yeah.
Well,
anyways,
let's take a cleansing bath in number 1, which is a wonderful moment.
A wonderful moment.
Back to E3 2004.
Yes.
The legendary Twilight Princess trailer.
Reveal.
And Mr. Miyamoto comes out with the Master Sword and the shield.
Yeah.
And just whips the crowd into a frenzy.
Whips them into a frenzy.
Oh my god.
And then everybody cries as they release this trailer.
That was always the word that was going around the show. Again, this was my first E3. I wasn't at this press conference. It was like people were sobbing in the aisles of the Nintendo press conference because of this trailer.
I think because he had such a great intro as well to the trailer.
Right.
So it was like a 1-2 punch there.
Mature Zelda is something people were begging for.
Right.
Some people did not like the Wind Waker. I loved it. This was what people had been asking for.
They wanted the darkness.
Interesting bit of trivia about this. The song, which I think really makes that trailer, is not from Zelda at all.
Yeah.
It's from a Conan the Barbarian movie.
It's so random.
Which is so random, but it really fit it perfectly.
Like, fit. So whoever edited that trailer, like produced that
good
trailer,
choice.
Great song choice.
There'll never be another moment like it because there'll never be another Nintendo E3 press conference.
That's right. This is it.
This is it.
Good,
this is what we have to work
bad,
with.
Robbie Drums, Mr. Miyamoto. These are forever, frozen in that moment in time.
Right.
And that's it. And who knows? There might not even be E3 as we know it.
No.
So good to talk about this and remember these moments.
Yeah. Do you agree with this list?
Yes.
Do you disagree? Let us know in the comments.
And least favorite moments. Tell us. We want to know all of it. And yeah, we're going to wrap it up for today.
We made it.
We'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.